After 80 billion times of trying to film this video today, let us hope this is the iteration that you are going to see. What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. You are watching The Nerdy Narrative, and today is my weekly reads, which is a video recapping all the things I've read over the last week, what I finished, what I'm currently reading, and what I plan to read next. Starting with, what did I finish? And it's not a lot. We went traveling over the long holiday, visiting our in-laws, and I just don't read much. I always take books because I think, oh, I'll carve out a little time here and there, and I never do. Which is kind of how it should be. You know, you're going to see family, you should be with family. So, what did I finish? Volume 14 of One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. You guys, if you are a fan of the manga and the anime and you haven't seen the trailer for season 2 of One Piece, which is coming out, I think it's going to be out by the time that this video goes live. I'll put a link to the trailer below if you haven't seen it and you haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. But for those of you who are a fan of the manga and the anime and you're wondering where does volume 14 fit into that, Luffy and the Straw Hat Crew have just landed on the island of Little Garden in the Grand Line. I am so excited. This is just my favorite arc of the entire manga. Now granted, I've only read through, I think, volume 93 or 97. Somewhere in the 90s is where I left off. So really enjoying that, and I do have some news. The end of June is when the next live stream is going to happen with my own little Straw Hat Crew. I'm not sure whose channel that's going to be on. As soon as I know, I will update you on that. The first one happened on Philip Chase's channel, which I will also have linked in the description below if you want to see that and meet my crew and hopefully enjoy that conversation and look forward to the next one. The other thing that I finished is The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose, which is the third book in her cozy mystery series, Molly the Maid. Y'all, this is my favorite book in the series so far, and I don't care what anybody says. This is not a series comprised of standalone novels, and if you picked this book up and this is where you start, I just think you're going to be lost and you're going to miss out on the beauty of this book because we get so many questions answered about Molly's grandmother. Oh, we get her story in this one and it is so beautiful. Absolutely just... I thought I knew what was going to happen in this one, and it did. It did. I loved every minute of it, but it played such a small role. I thought it was going to be larger than it was. I am not opposed. I loved how it turned out. I love the way that everything happened. I just could not love Molly any more than I already do. The found family, just the people that she works with at the Regency Grand Hotel. Oh, it was so good. But besides getting Grand's story and the other little thing that happened, you might be wondering, where's the cozy mystery in it? Well, there is a heist that occurs at the Regency Grand Hotel. It is an art heist, which is one of my favorites over the years. All of the heists that I've read about, I love when it is regarding art. For some reason, there's just a little bit extra that you can work with when it's an art heist. It can be replaced with a fake. It could have turned out to be, I mean, there's just all kinds of ways it can go. And it's not just a heist. Molly is receiving death threats. And if you have read the other books in the series, you're going, what? Are Molly death threats? If you haven't read this one, I encourage you to pick it up as soon as possible. Also have a box of Kleenex handy. You're going to cry. If you don't cry reading this book, I don't know what to do with you. I just don't know what to do with you. I cried over loss, sadness, happiness, sweetness, bittersweetness. It was just, everything made me cry. It was so good and worth the long wait to get it from my library. I checked out the audiobook. It's narrated by Lauren Ambrose and she did a wonderful job, as she has with all of the previous novels. Now let's talk about what am I currently reading. So of course I started the next volume in the series, which is volume 15. Continuing on in the Alabasta arc, I believe the crew is going to be discussing volumes 10 through 17. So if you have read that far, or you want to get that far before we have our conversation, you have until the end of June to read through volume 17 or chapter 150 if you're doing it through the Shonen Jump app, which you can read all of the One Piece chapters on there for $2.99 a month, I think is the monthly subscription for that. Speaking of heist, I've also made really good progress reading The Malevolent 8 by Sebastian de Castell, and there was a heist in this one that I just finished reading as part of the overarching plot to get some other information. You know how it is. You want information from the various characters. They want you to do them a favor. And oh goodness, The Malevolent 7 did not disappoint in that regard. This book has been nothing but pure joy. So if you've read the first one in the series, I think this one is better than the first one, but it is just as funny, has all of the sarcasm and wit and humor as in the first one. So if you've been out there sad because you've read all of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books 3 times over and you have to wait for the next one, pick up this series by Sebastian de Castell. You are going to have a fantastic time. I laugh so hard. I want to tell y'all this one part about Temper the vampiric kangaroo so bad, but it is so funny for you to read it and discover it for yourself. But it's just something he's done that he's learned since the last time I updated y'all. It is everything. Oh my gosh, this book is so good. I'm having the best time, but y'all know I can't ever just read one thing. I got a couple other things going as well. I'm still making my way through War Host of Vastmark, which, y'all, there was a turning point with my little buddy Dakar that I read about last night. Oh, it was so sad, but, and I thought, my character is about to experience some very important growth here. And he tricked me. I thought he did, but by the time I got to the end of that little event that was happening, he was back to doing Dakar things, which is why I love him so much. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen going forward with what just happened with this character. I don't know why. I cannot explain why Dakar is such a favorite of mine. I think it's his penchant for mischief and just the way that he acts when he's pouting about something. He's so human. He feels like a real person, and maybe, just maybe, I identify with him a wee bit. Oh, talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. So Chris and I decided to try one of Matt Dinniman's other books while we were driving to visit the in-laws and driving back because we were going to be spending quite a bit of time in the car. So we got the audiobook, narrated by Jeff Hayes, of course, of KAIJU Battlefield Surgeon. It's another lit RPG novel. It is not as good as Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I may have had a higher opinion of it if I had read it before Dungeon Crawler Carl, but I think DCC kind of ruined me on it. I'm not saying it's not a good book, and Chris said he's enjoying it very much too. We're about halfway through. It is very gory, not as much humor. It does have humor. It's more on the horror side of things than the fantasy side. And I also need to point out that if you get it on Audible, it has a different narrator. If you want the Jeff Hayes, what do they call it, dramatic audiobook, it's something with, it's got sound effects and things like that. I forget what the word is that describes those type of audiobooks. If you want that one, you need to download it or purchase it through the Sound Booth Theater app. If there's a way for me to link that app, I can find it. Maybe it'll do it on the website too. I'll put that down in the description below. But still working my way through that one. The jury is still out for me on how that one is gonna rank. I am not sure, but all I do know for certain is that Dungeon Crawler Carl definitely blows it out of the water. Though Carl and Donut do make an appearance in this one in a fashion. So I will share that little Easter egg with you. And then the last thing that I'm reading is charting and technical analysis. And this is for my day job. I do day trading on the stock market, and I wanted to learn more about charting because charting, quite simply put, represents the money on the table at the end of the day, and they don't lie. Y'all know how the internet is, and y'all know that these companies are pumping out fake news, and you can pay content creators to make videos about your stock and pump and dumps and all of that stuff. But one thing that don't lie, numbers. And those numbers translate to charts and patterns and all of that kind of fun stuff. And your girl here is trying to learn that so she can make some bank and hopefully help save up enough money to get the rest of the down payment so Chris and I can buy a house. Next year, maybe next year, who knows. So let's talk about what am I going to read next after I finish one of these fantastic novels that I have going. First up, my library hold for the new Emily Henry book finally came through. I put a hold on the audiobook. It's called Great Big Beautiful Life. I have no idea what it's about. Emily Henry is a guilty pleasure of mine. She writes contemporary romances. I have loved everything I've read by her so far, which is so funny because the first book I ever picked up by her, Book Lovers, I'll link the video for you to watch. I picked it up kind of as a joke. I expected to poke a little bit of fun at contemporary romances, and what did that book do? Well, it created a new auto by author to put at the top of my list. Everything Emily Henry puts out, I will read, and it also started off a new genre that I have to have in my rotation of genres to read every month. So I wish I could tell you what it's about. I can't. I will when I check in with y'all next week, because that's going to be the next audiobook I start listening to. As far as my next physical read, The Sorrow of the Sea by Stephen Aryan. Gonna round out the historical fantasy series, The Nightingale and the Falcon. And I need to make a correction. I thought I pre-ordered the audiobook for this one. I mentioned that last week when I updated you. It was The Whisper in the Wind by Luke Arnold that I had pre-ordered that I got, and I just thought it was this one. There is not an audiobook for this one yet. Not sure if it's coming down the wire. So this will be a physical read only. Other than that, I'm just going to let y'all know how this one ends. One of my friends, I think it was Jonathan Cohn, tweeted recently that he finished it and loved it. I need to check to see if he's done a dedicated review. If he has, I'm going to have that link down in the description below if you want to check that out if you've read the first 2 books in the series. If you haven't and you like historical fantasy, I'll put my non-spoiler review for the first book in the series so you can check it out and see if it's one you might be interested in. And let's round this one out with one more audiobook, because I know I'm going to fly through the Emily Henry one and I'll have time to start another. I think it's time for me to read the next in the Necroscope series by Brian Lumley, which is Dead Speak. Now, if memory serves me correctly, this is where our Necroscope, Harry Keogh, whose ability is just simply someone that can have a conversation with the dead. Harry is their friend. He has connected them. They don't feel so alone and trapped anymore. And in this one, I think Harry loses the ability to use that talent, and he has to team up with his nemesis, one of the vampires. I've been having the most fun rereading this series in my adult life. I first read it as a teenager. I didn't understand a lot of the nuances then that I'm picking up now. And this is why I love doing rereads, because there are things that happen in your life as you age, things that you experience that change how you can enjoy a novel. They just hit different. And I always pick up things the next time around that I missed the previous times that I read it. So very excited to get into that reread. And that is a wrap for this week. That's all of the things that I have been reading. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.